So welcome to another board game review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're taking a look at Black Orchestra from Starling Games. So this is part of our Shelf of Shame Dust Off 2025 event. And wow, what a game.
Oh, it's a freaking amazing. I'm just going to say it. Freaking amazing.
So to start
Such
with,
a good game.
Not a war game. This is a board game.
No.
It has a historical theme that's set during the war.
Well, and
you are not fighting a war.
It's cooperative,
yes.
Right? You're working together as a team to move around the board, collecting items, intelligence, gaining cards, and then ultimately trying to set up Hitler to be killed in an assassination attempt. You can kill him a number of ways, right?
Yes.
Sniper, bomb, poison,
train crash.
I mean, derail train. I mean, this game is amazing.
Yeah, so this is a cooperative game about attempting to assassinate Hitler.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love that?
Well, I would play a game that I get to either punch a Nazi or assassinate Hitler anytime. And this was fun as hell. So I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, this game came out in 2016. We were just talking about this. That's nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So this game
took us
is
a long time to play it.
Right. It's designed by Philip Dubarry. It was put up by Starling Games back in the day. We have a Kickstarter on the way for an expansion to this.
Yep.
As well as I think it's called Operation Valkyrie.
Yeah,
right?
And it's a separate game.
Like a standalone game.
I really don't know. I kind of backed it sight unseen. I didn't do a lot of research on it.
Which is sensible based on how good this is, by the way.
100%. But it is a separate game, so...
and then Philip's also designing a Normandy game that's coming from the Dietz Foundation, which is a non-profit organization.
Well, it was a Kickstarter last year, and it should be fulfilling soon. Yeah.
All that to say, this is a cooperative game, so you're going to sit around a table with friends, trying to get your plan together, trying to get yourselves geographically in the right position, with the correct items, in order to make the attempt. Yeah. We played this at Buckeye Game Fest 2025. This plays up to 5, or was it 4?
I think it does up to 5.
I think we did 5, and we played it 5-player.
Yeah.
We even had 6 people at the table and 2 people playing together.
We did.
I'm pretty sure it's 5.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure as well.
Yeah, because we had like 2 Abwehr, 2 military, and 1 civilian. I think that's how I remember that.
Yep.
And this is it's a case of moving around, trying to avoid the leaders. So you have literally Hitler and like his cronies. So you have like Bormann, Goering, what's the other guys?
Himmler, I think, was represented.
And,
one other, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Who cares?
And they're moving around the board based on cards that happen.
Yeah, so they're controlled by the cards and little bots that tell them, hey, move here. And if you start your turn with them in your space, there's a penalty that's unique to each one that you incur. So you're trying to avoid them, but you're trying to search through this big old deck of cards.
Goebbels, Goering, Hess, Hitler, Bormann. So there are 6 guys moving around.
Yeah, you're rooting through the cards, trying to find things. Some of those things you will find will literally be a plot. So you might have 3 or 4 plots at the table, and you might all be kind of working towards one, or a bunch of them, but then one of them will kind of come to the fore as the most likely to succeed, at which point we're all going to kind of try to work on that.
Well, and that will happen because there's a random distribution of I'm going to call them the equipment or the items. They're randomly distributed around the board. Some of them are way out on the east front, right?
Yeah, so, and like it's effectively locked.
It's very hard to get out there. There are abilities where you can like take a plane and move from one area to another. So you can do that, but it's going to kind of shake out that you're like, oh, I see 4 keys kind of in the area. We got to do a mission that's going to involve keys.
But you've got to find the mission that gets the keys,
100%.
Right? So you're trying to run through this deck. There's plots in there, right? So you're trying to get the good plot that's going to... Your
give you the best
character
chance.
abilities and your items are going to fuel that. But then you're also trying to pick up different special abilities and one-shots.
Like a reroll or extra dice.
And some of these things are contraband, and some of them are not. And if you get caught with a bunch of contraband stuff,
you're going to...
That's not good.
The Hooskow.
Your suspicion level goes up.
Yep.
And if your suspicion level goes up and there's an SS raid, boy, you're going straight to prison.
Yep.
and they're going to take all of your stuff from you that you worked so hard to get, and you're stuck in prison. And you're going to go through this interrogation deck.
Oh,
and this
my.
interrogation deck is
So
going to
bad.
force you to do things to other players that are bad to get yourself out of the prison. So you're going to rat on your friends to get out.
And the best part about that is you are the only one that reads the card.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say anything to anyone
Because
about
the card, here, let me just, I thought that part was genius.
it was great.
Like when I first realized that, I'm like, oh, that's tasty. Literally, there's like 4 choices here. And I'm reading these to myself going, well, I mean, because you want to win together, right? That's the only way you really truly win. But you also want to get your butt out of prison because you're out of the game.
Well, because if everyone's in prison, you lose the game.
Yeah, 100%. But you have to make a decision that, okay, you can afford it. You can take a hit. That guy can't. Or, boy, that guy's got to take a hit so I can get out. And it was just so juicy. It's not quite a hidden traitor mechanic, but it feels very similar.
It fills that space of a
Yes.
hidden traitor without someone having to play as a
The
traitor.
hidden traitor,
Which
yeah.
I think about when this game came out in 2016, when hidden traitor games were all the rage.
Sure.
And this was a spin on that meant that someone didn't have to play the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool as a way to get that to be a more palatable experience for someone who... Because we've all played a hidden traitor game where someone gets the traitor and they start sweating and they're not enjoying it
It's
because
hard.
they didn't want to be the traitor, and it was like, why are you playing this game in the first place? And we kind of strong-armed them into it, and then they end up being the guy, and it ruins the experience of the game.
Yeah.
This avoids that. And I
Agreed.
thought that this was a great mechanic to do that.
But it still puts very tough and real decisions on your shoulders to make the best of what you've got, right?
And it's incredibly thematic.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing you could say about this game, the theme is one of the strongest themes I've ever played.
Dripping off the game. Every card, every event, every character. The other comment I wanted to make, which I thought was awesome about these cards, there was always the try and resist.
Hope for the best.
Right? You can say, okay, screw that. I'm not going to hurt my team. I'll take one for the team and I'm going to roll a die. And not a lot of great...
I think there's one
Yeah,
success.
there's like
thing you get
one or
out.
2 successes. Hold on, raise it. Well, they're all bad.
The red ones get you out.
Yes, the red ones,
So
but
it's a
1 out of
1/3
6.
chance.
The other ones like raise Hitler's military support, which is
very bad.
something you're trying to drive down because the more military support he has, the harder it is to assassinate him because you are required to get more successes. When he only has 1 or 2 military support, you only need a couple of successes, and you're rolling 3, maybe 4 dice. So that's a tough choice. But then you're going to roll, and it's up to Lady Luck. Ooh, I rolled a 3, so suspicion level got increased by
Raise
1.
ones, and it's
That's not bad.
You pick someone else's.
Yeah, right. But it's delicious. That is a delicious mechanic that I think works really well with the theme and the game mechanics and the way it all plays out, and puts that jeopardy in without making it like some of the Hidden Traitor games.
Yeah, someone's not shackled to doing that might not want to do
Right.
it. Which I appreciate that this game has space for that, because as much as I love playing a Hidden Traitor,
I enjoy it
I
too.
know there's people out there who hate it. They
Yeah.
do not like it, or they're objectively bad at it.
There's some people that it's like, we don't want you to be the traitor
And because it's like,
because you suck.
yeah, and then it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
So it gets around that in a way that still gives you some of that
Mm-hmm.
jeopardy, which is real fun. But other than, it's moving around, moving each other around, synthesizing our special abilities, trying to pick up stuff, get all our stuff together so that we can make a good dice roll. That's how you assassinate Hitler with this dice roll, and you're trying to get these red hits equal to or greater than his military support, whilst avoiding the suspicions, which is the suspicion symbol.
Yep.
You have to have less than your current suspicion level.
Yeah.
But to be able to assassinate, or attempt to assassinate Hitler, you have to be really high up on this commitment track.
Yep.
And to have gotten up there, typically you have incurred a lot of suspicion.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to manage your own play of all those things.
Well, to me, this also was a very good part of the game because thematically, for you to take some of the risks on these cards, you're going to have to be reckless.
Yes.
Right? And that's a condition on the card that you had to work towards. it
And
gives
it's
you some
very difficult to do.
It is very hard because you end up losing it all the time. Like all kinds of events like knock you down one level. But I loved trying to get my way up because my plot said I have to be reckless.
And you get up by using the descent track.
Yep.
And so every time you're using that descent track, it's risky.
Yep.
And
Because you're rolling and you can get suspicions and
which
get
is the one
arrested.
thing you're not one.
Yeah.
Or if you succeed at the descent track, you have the option to move yourself up. Great. Or you can reduce Hitler's military support.
Yep.
And so even that decision's really important as well, where you're like, and I remember the thing I remember the most from this game was the little round table discussions that we would have when we were like so close to being able to do it. And it was, okay, take a pause from playing the game.
Yeah.
What does everyone think? Are we
Yeah.
go, no go? Here's this option. Here's what happens if we wait.
Here's how many dice we're going to get. Here's how many hits we have to get. If we wait, we might have one less die.
Or we might have one more die, but Hitler might not be there. We might just, who cares if we've
Right,
got a die?
so
He's not
it-
there.
I imagine the thematic concept that you said. I imagine we were in a dark,
Oh, yes.
dank basement by candlelight with some drawings on a chalkboard, and we're like, okay, we can do this, but man, it's risky. And then someone saying, we gotta wait, and then someone saying, no, we're going now. And then you end up bopping the guy that said wait on the head, and you end up going and screw it up.
But it was those discussions. You're
Are
like,
fantastic.
It was so great because it was tense. Like we're talking about this, and it's like, oh, it's painstaking
Yeah.
decisions of yes or no, and it gives you that very rich feeling of being a conspirator. When we talk about the theme, the discussions that we were having in this game are unlike any other discussions I've had in any other game.
Yeah, agreed.
And you're like, these are the discussions that really happened. Like, this is the stuff that von Stauffenberg actually was saying to his, not obviously with dice, but like,
Right.
that you're getting an inkling of the feelings of actually being able to do something to alter the course of history
Yeah.
in a way that so many other games just don't go to that level. And that was so I loved everyone that we played with. Those discussions are a group effort, and it was so fun.
Oh, yeah.
To just like sit there and be like,
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, a couple times we took a vote, right?
Right.
We
Very
took a vote
democratic.
saying, are we waiting? Are we going? I think more often than not, we ended up going. But that was a unique part as well.
weighing up risk.
Yep.
Risk assessment
Risk
in board
reward.
games is so boring normally. And
Sure.
in this one, it's just like, ugh, yes.
Yeah,
ugh,
it's
it's
very
like,
good.
ugh.
The other thing that I very much enjoyed about the game was and you already mentioned it, but the unique characters. They're all so very different.
And I believe they're all historical as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm pretty sure that
Stauffenberg,
people
yes.
were looking them up online.
Yeah,
and they've all got
I think
Wikipedia
they're
entries.
generally accurate, but they have different specialties. Like you said, Abwehr, there were civilians, there are Wehrmacht. Those are the three types,
Yes.
right? So each of those kind of bring a different focus and a different skill set that allows you to
Yeah.
overcome certain things.
Like the Abwehr guys might get a bonus to a specific type
when
of plot.
they'll get an extra die
Yeah.
if they're doing this type of plot.
The civilians, if they're doing like a car bombing, might get a bonus
Yep.
kind of plot because it's an unmarked civilian
Yep.
car kind of a thing.
But I loved that part of it. And you have 5 guys, so you have kind of 5 different sets. But I also loved thinking about these men, their risks, their gambles, and their willingness to in essence, do what was right? To try to end
To at least
this
to try.
in 1942, 43. Isn't that kind of when this was?
You know, I should know that. I don't.
I mean, Barbarossa kicked off in 1941, so this was probably 42, 43.
This goes all the way out to Smolensk by the end of the game, so it might. I don't know.
I don't remember
know.
yeah.
That might even be a bit later. Like,
But I loved having to put myself in that situation and think about these men and women. I don't think any of the characters are women, but you know that there were women involved behind the scenes. If you've watched Operation Valkyrie, which I have, and I actually like that movie quite a bit, you see all the people that were involved, and it could not have been done if each and every single one of them didn't fulfill their role, hold strong, and ultimately have to give their life because that plot failed, right?
And Make no mistake, that is the most likely outcome of this game.
Very tough game, right?
Extremely difficult.
We had 2 opportunities because you're going to get about 2 or 3 opportunities to really pull off
If you get a third, good luck.
a plot. We did it twice. We missed by, I think, 1 result each time.
Yep.
And there was just nothing we could do to change it. So I'm not sure you're going to win that often. It actually makes a comment in the game. You get a Hitler or a we did it card. Here it is. We killed Hitler card, and you're supposed to like take a picture of it and put it on.
You actually did it.
But it's going to happen about 10% of the time, maybe 15% of the time.
I would love to see statistics because we were doing decently,
and then it just all wasn't.
And then
well.
it just everything collapsed.
Yeah.
And we had a couple goes, and
we did.
They ended up being pretty long odds,
but in
it
the
was
end,
a great time.
Win, lose, or draw, we all had a great time with it. I think everybody
yes.
at the table enjoyed the concepts. They enjoyed the way it was executed, enjoyed the conversations, the negotiation, the discussions, and it was just fun. Very well done game that I think anyone would like to play.
Yeah, so what I will do is I will show you how this played, and then we'll wrap up with a few final thoughts.
Well, but it's going to be a different setting.
It will be.
Right, Buckeye Game Fest. So just remember, you're going to see us like time travel.
There might be someone in the background yapping.
Was that me?
No,
Oh, okay.
But we'll wrap up with a few final thoughts. So here's a look at the map board. Well, depends how you want to view it, really. There's a lot of text down here, little tracks and plays kind of printed onto the board, and then everything else here is spaces. And they have Berlin with these initial starting spaces, and then the turn 1 spaces here that have the 1 listed on them, and then the 2 spaces that you get added, and then the 3 spaces, the 4, 5, and it grows out as the length of the war progresses, as Germany literally takes more territory. There are more spaces for you to travel to, or for the leadership to travel to, that you're trying to either avoid or take care of, let's put it that way. So that's kind of what this major portion of the board looks like. There's a little prison section where when you get to the very extreme levels of suspicion and you end up with Gestapo raids, they're going to come and get you, and then you end up in prison. You have to get freed from prison by people kind of begging you favors, or you use the interrogation deck as ways to get yourselves out of that, but usually at cost to the rest of the players in the game. This is a cooperative game. That's important to remember. So everyone is working together to pull through the plot to assassinate Hitler. So what your kind of player mat looks like, it's got your character on it. You have this level of motivation, and this is a track. So you'll have a cube, and it'll start at timid. You'll go up to skeptical, motivated, then committed, and then up to reckless as well if you need to, or if you wish to give yourself a bit of a buffer. And why I say buffer is because you must be at the committed level to actually make an attempted plot, like to roll it, to try to actually follow through with that plan. If you're below that, you can't even attempt it. So if you're at reckless, you don't gain anything else, but you have everything below this, so you still have some buffer room to like lose a motivation and still be able to follow through on a plot that you might need to do to kind of win the game. The other track down here is your suspicion level. Starts at medium, it can go to low, it can go to high, it can go to extreme, where again you can be arrested. But down here you have these suspicion icons. When you make a plot roll, this is basically a threshold under which you are trying to roll an amount of suspicion. So when you roll, the dice have these target symbols. The red ones, these are hits. Let's get you in focus here. Well, let's see if we can even see that. Doesn't seem to be playing ball, so you'll have to bear with me on this one. So you've got the red symbols are successes, then you have this eagle symbol, which is a suspicion, that's bad, and then you have numbers. The numbers are blanks for plots, or there are a number of actions if you're doing this conspire action. But basically, if you have very, very low suspicion, you can afford in your attempt roll to go through with your plot to roll fewer than 3 suspicion dice. So if you've got lots of dice and you roll a couple of those, it's okay. If you have lots of suspicion and you roll a bunch of these and you're equal to or over these numbers, it's bad. Your plot basically doesn't go through. You kind of get sniffed out before you can even, poison him or blow something up or take a shot with a gun, that kind of a thing. Each player also has a little special ability on them. Those are really neat, and they're unique, and they're pretty cool and invaluable as well. But most of the game, you're going to spend basically checking to see if there's any penalties. So if you start your turn and you're in a space with Hitler or one of his deputies, they all have a penalty on them. Again, my camera's not working correctly, so this one says -1 suspicion, or +1 suspicion, sorry. So if you have medium suspicion and you start your turn in a space with Himmler, your suspicion automatically goes up to high at the beginning of your turn. Then you have 3 actions. You can either take actions from cards in your tableau, which is also referred to in this game as your dossier. An action will have an action symbol on it, and there's lots of those that you can get from your informant deck, or conspirator deck is what it's called. There's a bunch of these, and a lot of them have actions that you're kind of building your own little tableau that you can proc for actions. They're usually one-shots, you do it and you get the cool ability. The other things you can do is collect items, so there's items on the board. Once you have a plot that you're trying to follow through on, so let's say we've got the von Stauffenberg's suitcase bomb. When I make the attempt to do the suitcase bomb, you get 1 die from this, and there's some requirements. You have to be the same space as Hitler, and he must be in a fortified space, which is either the Chancellery, Adlershorst, or Adlerhorst, the Berghof isn't, that's interesting, or Wolfschlucht, or a couple of these out here, but in a fortified space, and you set the bomb off. You get +1 additional die if you are a member of the Wehrmacht, so Stauffenberg's from the Wehrmacht, as opposed to Admiral Wilhelm over here, who is part of the Abwehr. He's not part of that, so he wouldn't get that bonus. If you have explosives, which is an item, e.g. I have moved over here and I have picked this up with the collect item action, and I have this as one of my items on my player mat, like this, then I get an additional die. If I also have a badge, I ignore one of these suspicion dice rolls during that plot attempt. So let's say I've got explosives, I'm from the Wehrmacht, I got this guy as well. I might get bonuses if I've got General Ludwig Beck with me and he's got his special ability, he can bring an extra die as well. And if I try to set it off, let's say Hitler's military support is at 3. I'm trying to roll 3 successes or more. I only rolled 1. So this is a bit of a failure, but because there's no suspicion here, it gets snuffed out, but I don't get in trouble particularly. If I had rolled 3 successes, I would succeed, the bomb goes off, and it does what it's supposed to do, again with no suspicion. However, if I ended up rolling lots and lots of suspicion, and I'm sat here at medium, I can't afford to have, you have to roll fewer than this number of suspicion. So this would be a fail, that's not good. But if I had the badge, I could ignore one of those. So this would go away. I would still fail, but I wouldn't go to prison or get lots of suspicion basically, and have the plot removed from me. I can reattempt the same plot if I mess it up, but it's not basically a critical failure with lots of suspicion in it. You can conspire, which is a gamble. Conspiring is rolling dice. You get the number of actions, and then you get these targets. They go up into the descent track. Every 3 dice up there, they get removed, and you can move up on your motivation track. So that's a way to get yourself up. You can also reduce Hitler's military support instead of moving up on that track. So if this is up at 7, you have to hit 7 hits. That's really difficult to do. So you're rolling those conspires to get the support of the military down, so when you do the attempt, it's going to be more likely to be successful. You can deliver items. So for example, if I pick up this signature, if I'm over here, I can walk around And let's see, do I have one here? Badge. If I go over to the Ministry of Propaganda and I have the signature on my player mat, I can drop it off to reduce my suspicion by 2 spots. So I go from high all the way down to low. You can moving is moving. You can do dossier, which is drawing a card. That's a way to get plots, like poison his food, or to pick up cool actions, like quick reaction. Or you can reroll a die during a plot attempt. Could be very valuable. You can release guys from prison, although that's very difficult. You roll a die, and as basically how you do that, if you roll a suspicion, you go to prison because you were trying too hard, not good. Or you can reveal an item as an action, because these are all face down. You're trying to find the things you need as well. Or you can transfer items. It's cooperative. If you're in the same space as someone, you can hand them off to each other. This is a game of working as a team, moving around the board, getting the items to the guy who needs them, getting him the support that he needs so that we can get it all triggered and get the dice rolls. They are very difficult. This is very punishing. When you roll the dice, that's a decent roll, but it's only a decent roll if you're at the lowest possible standard level military support. Most of the time you're going to be up here somewhere, and you need all the dice you can get, and so the schemes get more difficult. They take more time to collect more items, to get everyone in the right space and to organize, and it's about getting together. Do we go, no go? How big of a gamble are we going to take if we go now versus if we wait a turn? If we wait a turn, what's going to happen to us? It's wonderful, and all the time you've got these events ticking over, messing with the game situation, and it's mouth-watering. But what we'll do is we'll wrap up here with a few final thoughts. So that's how the game functions. A wonderful game. Mm-hmm. The thing that I had kind of wanted to bring up is the length of the game. Because you had purchased this with the idea that we could play it with Kelly and Paisley, with the 4 of us, as a cooperative historical game. The reality is
the attention span is not going to be, because it's about a 3.5 hour game.
Yeah.
I think.
What I would say is it's probably 2.5, 3 hours. Mm-hmm. It can end sooner.
Very quick.
You can end very quickly. But a big part of why it's as long as it is, especially when we play it, is those discussions. Yeah. Which are the best part of the game.
100%.
It's the talking things over, trying to rationalize what's the smart move, what's the best move, is this as good as it gets? Mm-hmm. Can we get it better? What does that look like? Okay, let's have a little look. What's the situation? Yep. How quickly could that change? And in what ways could it change? Okay, can we keep what we've got and adapt to that within the next round before I get to go again and we can have another go? Those discussions take time. Yep. Those discussions are beautiful and wonderful and thematic. They're like, gameplay's 90 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, dude.
Yeah, I don't think that 90 minutes is going to do it, but...
We played like till the bitter end. Like I think we played until
took us
the
almost
last, like
3 hours. I mean, and that was learning the game. Yeah. So maybe it is more like 2.5 hours.
But I think it is that long if you're like really getting into it and enjoying it, and
Which, if that's the case, if it's 4 hours, it's 4 hours, right? It's a great game, great experience, great time. I don't care.
Yeah, right? It was well. Every minute that we played this, I was enjoying myself.
100%.
And a lot of cooperative games, it's kind of like, cool, we played it, or like, oh, it was fine, it was good. Yeah. This one was like, I didn't want it to end.
Agreed.
And then it did.
Well, I wanted it
when we lost, and it was like, no.
I wanted it to end with us blowing Hitler away.
But I could have set it up and played it immediately
100%.
and given it another go, and I could have played this for 6, 7, 8 hours, and I would not have been bored.
It's just that good.
It really, really, really is.
The other thing I liked about the game, and it's probably more a condition of the movie, and how many times did I scream out on the side, "Help me, Tom Cruise," right? Because it was making a connection between von Stauffenberg and Tom Cruise and Valkyrie. I don't know. I love that because that movie brought this home for me, made me want to even play it more, get it, and now that we have played it, I loved it. I would love to do it again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the expansion to see what it adds. I presume probably in addition to the board or a new layer of stuff, probably new characters, new plots, new cards. That would all be very exciting.
Or all of the above.
Oh, I'm sure it has all of the above. And taking this to more conventions and doing it, because To me, this is also a great convention game. This is a great game to just like have in your collection and play on an evening because it fits in an evening with a meal and like not getting overburdensome.
Yep.
But
You might want to check that meal for poison though before you
yeah,
eat it.
you might.
So
But this is also a great convention game because, again, it fits into a slot where you might not be able to fit a big war game, but it sits lots of people, and it's a change of pace.
yeah.
Right? It's not a head-to-head game. And you play 2 days of, like, full war gaming. Let's take a little break.
Yeah.
Let's work together.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And
Well,
then get back to the fighting.
It reminds me of games like The Thing, right? That we've played. It's just a different focus for a big convention where we've played big games, right? But yes, I would love to play this at WBC this summer.
Yeah.
Maybe take it again to Buckeye Game Fest next year because it's just that good.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we talked about is it's reminiscent in a way, or it's probably the other way around, of Orange Shall Overcome, which is a cooperative game we played last year. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year.
We actually played that at Buckeye Game Fest last year.
That was also amazing.
I think we played that 3 or 4 times of our own accord
Yeah.
before, and we loved it so much we wanted to play it again.
Also thematic, also amazing, also cooperative, also World War II. So like, there's a few of these kind of pretty big box co-op historically themed games that make getting someone into historical board gaming a bit more palatable, so to speak, than trying to set them up with Here I Stand. Not everyone's going to be into Here I Stand.
Well, and there are people that you can set up Here I Stand, and they will get into it. But if you know your friends, if you know your group, you might say, hey, this is a game that will help them discover history.
Yeah.
And learn and enjoy the experience, right?
Yes. Yeah, I really like where this sits in a collection of board games and war games, and I look forward to playing this many more times.
Yes, agreed. I loved it.
Yes.
100%.
Black Orchestra from Starling Games. You got to check this out. If you haven't played it, we live under a rock. We took 10 years to play this game.
Pretty crazy.
And so many people had recommended it, by the way. So many people. Oh, have you played this? Oh, this is amazing.
Well, This War of Mine is another one that people have begged us to play, and that one just finished a GameFound campaign. I jumped on and backed it because that's one we would like to play. It's a different style of cooperative game, but also is a very unique game that kind of fits in this niche of
cooperative.
Yeah, or semi-cooperative.
Is it? Okay. I thought it was like a survival-y style.
It is, but you're still working together, I believe. There's a new one coming out called Liberation from Platypus Game, a French company. It looks really good.
French Platypus.
Well, yeah.
Famously.
Yeah. So anyway, Black Orchestra.
You gotta play this.
Yeah.
If you haven't played this, you gotta play this. You can pick it up on Noble Night. I know you can definitely get it there. But this is a wonderful game, a great shared experience, crushingly difficult, but you'll have a great time doing it. Appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.